Hey guys, and welcome to the second edition of the She Will Initiative. I just want to thank everyone last week for, if you tuned in last week to our 29 Days to Self-Discovery. I'm really happy that people tuned in. We got over 1,000 views, so I'm really happy about that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please continue to tune into these videos. So let's get right into it. So week 2 is entitled, Who Do You Love? So where this came from is in our journey to self-discovery, learning more about ourselves. I realized that it's very, very important that you do a good and thorough analysis of who is around you, meaning the relationships that you keep, the friends that you have, even the romantic relationships that you have. Today, we're going to be specifically talking about friendships, and we can also relate this to romantic relationships as well, because I do believe that all romantic relationships should start as friendships. So if you're in a romantic relationship, you guys should be working on a friendship or be in a friendship first. So one of the things that I realized is I wanted to know biblically the Christian definition of what a friend is. So this week I've been doing a lot of research, a lot of reading. There's so many different verses and things like that you can find in the Bible that are about friendship and camaraderie, different stories and things like that. But I really wanted to kind of deep dive into not just the meaning of friendship, but also the true meaning of love in regards to the relationships that you have, not just in friendships, but also in romantic relationships as well. This can be tailored to. So one verse that I saw that kept popping up in every blog and every pastor sermon and things like that I've been listening to and reading this week was the verse Proverbs 17:17, which says, a friend at all times loves, and a brother is born at a time for a time of adversity. And so I really want to unpack the first half of that verse, which is a friend loves at all times. Like, what does that mean? And the key word there is love. So I really wanted to kind of double back and be like, what is love? Biblically, how do we define it? And I know a lot of pastors and things have done sermons about this, but I was just reading my Bible, and this was kind of my take on it, being that from the scripture reading that I read. So everybody, if you're a Christian, you know the Bible verse Corinthians 13:4-8, which is love is patient, love is kind, love is long suffering. So I wanted to start there about what love is, and what the name of the game here in week 2 are the exercise that I wanted to put out there is, first, think about all of your close relationships. I want you to think about all your besties. I want you to think about all like your romantic relationships that you may have right now. I want you to try to gather in your mind a list of who those people are. One thing that I realized about in the Bible about friendship, there are a lot of verses about friends, but there's not necessarily verses about like associates or anything like that. And I kind of came to the conclusion that it's either you're a friend or you're not. So as I looked at it, I kind of put friendships into like 3 categories. You have your best friends. Those are your friends that you can tell anything, you can confide in about anything. That is the top level category. Those are friends that love you, and we'll go into what the definition of love is biblically, but those are the people who love you. Then you have associates, or close associates. Those are people that you have something in common with. Maybe you guys both like going to nice dinners. Okay, that's where the friendship lies. If for some reason one friend decides they don't like nice dinners anymore, then maybe the friendship fizzles out. You guys are friends because you both work together. Once you stop working together, the friendship fizzles out. So it's because you have something in common with each other. And then the third type of relationship I would like to define is an affiliate. An affiliate is just someone that you may know them through a person, but they happen to be in the same circles as you. You guys are cool, but you're not really close. They don't know much about you. They may know probably the most personal detail about you may be your birthday. A good example of this is, let's say my best friend gets married. Her husband isn't necessarily my best friend or even my associate automatically. He may be an affiliate, just somebody that I know of him, but he's not my friend all like that. I respect him, not really my friend. So that's just where I want you guys to kind of be when we're going through this exercise. So going back to the original thing I was talking about, which was think of your closest. And I mean your best friends, your besties, your boo, booze. I don't know if some of y'all got booze. But all jokes aside, think of your best friends in your romantic relationships, and we'll start there. So I want this exercise to be, am I showing love towards them properly? And are they showing me love properly? And do I have them in the wrong category? Now, a friend, or that top tier that I discussed earlier, are people who love you. That is a friend. People who love you. Okay? Don't get it twisted. You can be friends with your brothers and sisters. I know people who have brothers and sisters, but they're not friends. And I know people who have siblings and they're best friends. So it's people who love you. Okay? So getting into it. Love is patient. So what is patience? Patience is the ability to accept tolerable delays, problems, and suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. So if you have a friend that's not patient with you, or you have someone in your life that has a very hard time being patient with you, and I'm not talking about maybe one time they're having an issue or something like that. I'm talking about over and over and over again. They just lack patience. They cannot be patient with you at all. Then that person is not displaying love towards you, because a construct of love is patience. And just to be clear, in order for a person to love you, they need to show you all of these attributes, and there's quite a few. So one thing this exercise taught me is that love is not only a choice, it's a big decision, because you're really deciding on a lot of different courses of action that you're going to act towards a person. So before we say things like I love you, we really need to make sure that we're ready for that course of action that comes afterward. So love is patient. Love is kind. Kind is a synonym for generous. So love is generous. Do you have people who are greedy? Do you have people that you call your friends, or people that you're in romantic relationships with that have a hard time giving of their time, giving of their energy, giving of their money? If any of those are in there, then that person may not love you. Do you have a hard time giving of your time and your space and your in your funds? If you have an issue with that, then you may have a problem with loving another person. And one thing I realized about going through these attributes is it's really, really necessary for the individual and for us to really make sure that we have the capacity to love. And what I mean by that is that there is not an innate character flaw within us that is keeping us from loving other people. Or even an innate character flaw within us that is keeping ourselves from loving ourselves. But that's a whole nother topic. So we'll stay on topic just about friends. The next one, they're not jealous. How many reality shows have I watched where you're seeing all these women who are catty and are completely jealous of each other? That's not a friendship. If you are even in a romantic relationship and you feel that your partner may be jealous of your success, jealous of your career, that's not love. So really check that at the door and make sure that you're being honest with yourself about why a person is acting a certain way towards you. Love isn't proud. Do you have friends that boast? Do you have friends that brag? Do you have friends that have a competitive nature? And what I mean by that is a friend who is always in constant competition with you. They're always trying to one up you. They're always trying to make sure that they're better than you. That is not a friendship. So you really need to make sure you check that at the door. And I'm going to keep saying that. Check it at the door. And what I mean by that is make sure that if you're calling this person your best friend, that you're recategorizing that to maybe a close associate or an affiliate. And make sure that you understand, why are we friends? Because the thing is, if your friendship is attached to a certain activity or a certain thing, then that might not be a friendship. That might actually be an associate. Again, going through the rules are the constructs of love. Love is not rude. There's a term nowadays that people use called shade. It's pretty much when you say something to a person, but you don't say it outright, and it's usually rude. And honestly, in my opinion, if you have a friend who's constantly throwing shade in your direction, and I'm not talking about just in jest, I'm talking about they're literally throwing shade to hurt your feelings, that's not a friend. Love is not rude. So if you have someone that's a friend of me, not your friend, more of an associate. Also, it doesn't demand its own way. It's not spoiled. Love isn't like, well, if it's not my way, then I'm upset. Love is not like that. Love is willing to bend. Love is willing to compromise. That's an aspect of love. If you're with a person romantically that's not willing to compromise with you, every single thing has to be his way and it can't be a compromise, that's not a person showing love, and that's not a loving relationship. And that might be something that the two of you need to work on. And just to be clear, just because you're an affiliate doesn't mean you can't one day be a best friend, but just make sure that you're putting people in the right categories where they should be. And excuse me, because I have a cold. So I keep sniffling. Again, love is not irritable. Irritable meaning having or showing a tendency to be easily annoyed. If you are easily annoyed by a person, like every single day you're getting pissed about something that they did, then I would say that person's probably not your friend. The people who are around you, they're not going to easily annoy you all like that. Again, love keeps no record of wrong. If you have a friend that constantly has a list of all the things that you've done wrong to them, every time that you get into an argument, they bring up the list, may not be a friend, may be an associate. Even in a relationship, that is cancerous to a relationship. Does not rejoice in injustice. A friend isn't someone that's going to be happy when something bad happens to you. Again, it doesn't give up. It doesn't lose faith. It doesn't lose hope. It endures all things. You know what I mean? Like, your friend's not going to sit up here and say, I just give up on you. Or in a romantic relationship, I just give up. That's not something that someone who loves you is going to say. So again, it's very, very important that we make sure that we're putting people in the right categories. It does not mean that you cut off everyone who doesn't love you. It just means that you're very aware of who loves you and who is just somebody that is in your life, maybe to fulfill a certain purpose in your life, because you do need associates and you do need affiliates in your life, because they may be there because God is using them for a reason. So, I always end every video with a reading that I did that I feel like is relative to the video. So one thing I read was a blog post by Frank Viola. It's on this blog called Beyond Evangelical, and it lists the 5 aspects of friendships. And I really think it's a great reading. He splits up friendships into 3 different categories from the ones that I had. And I really think it's an awesome reading for anyone who's really trying to assess and be more aware of the friendships around them. So that does it for today's post. Please give me your comments, your ideas, anything that you think we can talk about. Please do that. Your 29 days to self-discovery. Keep going. You're going to get through it. It's I know it's a little hard answering some of those questions, but trust me, if you answer those questions and you really get to know who you are, you'll be a better person. Again, thank you for tuning in. Remember, I will, you will, and she will.